I think living with a single mother has a huge role to play with it. I think that at a very early age I realized कि कोई आपके लिए कुछ करने नहीं वाला. You're going to see a side of me that I have never seen before. Self-deprecating humor can keep going on, but I'm about to say something that I haven't said in a long time, which is that I am really proud of myself. Wow. And the last time I probably felt this way was Kedarnath. It's very difficult for me to do what I'm trying to do, which is not overthink it. It's very, मतलब ये पूरा तिगड़म मैं अपने दिमाग में कर चुकी हूँ कि अतरंगी के बाद प्यार मिला, लेकिन ज़रा हटके के बाद नंबर्स मिले, अब मर्डर मुबारक में मैं हॉट लगूंगी, इस फिल्म में मैं कुछ अलग दिखाऊंगी, बात वो है नहीं.
Hi, this is Ankita from E-Times, and today I have with me Sara Ali Khan, and we're meeting her for her film Watan Mere Watan. But you know, for those who've seen the trailer, and I personally would like to say that we can see the transformation of your character from a young girl to a mature lady who's fighting for the country just within that span of the trailer, which is so intriguing, and I'm sure the film has a lot more to offer. But how did you see the whole transition of the character emotionally and mentally from being this young girl to being someone so strong and who's fighting for the country?
You know, honestly, I think that strength is not something that it can be, but I think that more often than not, at least for me, strength is inside only. It's within you. So many times the things that we're looking for outside are actually just here, but till you're not pushed to the edge, you don't realize it. So this is not the story of how Usha becomes a strong character. It's a story of how the circumstances become such that she doesn't have a choice but to make the decisions that she just has to make. But that strength, that willingness, that fire to change things was there paidaishi. She was in school, the character that we are portraying. She was in school, and the teachers, you know, her teacher was very close to her, and the British had come and they started beating up the teacher, and that day she was like, you know what, why can't the British leave? 10 years later, she helps start this radio broadcasting channel that then helps galvanize the Quit India movement. So the desire of change was always within her.
Yeah, but emotionally, how could you relate to a character which was not just from that era, but mentally, like, you know, somebody like her who had that spirit, and of course somebody who lived that life, like, you know, brahmacharya and all those things that she lived, but to mentally get into that zone, apart from the fact that the physical appearance also matters. How was that part emotionally? And of course, she was a Gujarati, but the film is in Hindi, but did you sort of somewhere had to even get that part?
So it's interesting that you asked this question, because I asked Kannan sir quite a few times that should I try to do like a Gujarati dialect, and he said, this is not Usha Mehta's biography. This is a story inspired by Usha Mehta that should not just depict her, but should depict what any girl at that time could have been, or what any girl of today could have been. The idea is, of course, the setting of 1942 is something we can't imagine today. A time where there was no radio, a time where you could get arrested or hung at any given point of time, a time where freedom of speech, of thought, of movement was not, these are things we take for granted today.
Yeah.
So to put yourself in a time like that itself is just something that's difficult to do, something that you can't imagine. Yeah. But it is there that there is the inspiration about just self-belief. The things about this character that I had to find within myself, because I cannot relate to a world where there's no Instagram, or a world where, matlab, you know, I'm giving up my life with my mother and my brother to go fight for the nation. I can't imagine that kind of life. What I can imagine and what I have to find is self-belief of knowing that if this is right, I will fight for it. And it comes with little things in life. When you know that you have to stand by the correct thing, when you have to fight injustice, that's just an internal strength. And something that I find very interesting is when you're strong internally, na awaaz buland karne ki zarurat bhi nahi padti. Wow. So you feel that conviction in what you are doing is correct. Yeah. And I think that that is the closest to what one can do, and understanding that even today I think we live in a man's world.
Yeah.
Even back then, when you say freedom fighter, when you say bravery, when you say strength, I, as a history student, imagine just biceps and a man, and a tall man at that.
Yeah.
To imagine a petite girl in a khadi sari doing her bit of sacrifice, her bit of bravery, and actually managing to do it pretty impressively.
Yeah.
That is the story of inspiration for me.
Yeah, and interestingly, you know, not many films are made on female freedom fighters except for, I think, Rani Lakshmibai, where we've got a lot of those stories
Right.
coming out. But at this point in your career, 5 years post Kedarnath, to do a film like this, of this stature and handling it all by yourself on your shoulders, I'm sure that the feedback would be great, but at this point before release also, just to be able to do a film like this, how gratifying is it as an artist and of course as a performer?
Okay, so there are two parts to this. Part number one is it's not single-handedly me.
Yeah.
Abhay and Sparsh have been rocks for me in this film, because while this is Usha Mehta's story, the fact of the matter is that it was three of them that started this radio channel together. And even if Sara Ali Khan is sitting here and giving you interviews, Abhay and Sparsh have as much to do as I do with this radio and with this story. And it's quite befitting that while I can be the face of it, I am more than padded, and there is no way I would have been able to do this without both these boys and without Kannan sir, who, much like this story, उनकी भी bravery, उनकी भी ताकत, उनकी भी clarity soft है, simple है. Within that softness and simplicity, he manages to direct a story of bravery of just the most ultimate level. So it is the most gratifying experience to be able to be headlining a film like this. I also think that it's about time, because you're going to see a side of me that I have never seen before. Self-deprecating humor can keep going on, but I'm about to say something that I haven't said in a long time, which is that I am really proud of myself. Wow. And the last time I probably felt this way was Kedarnath. And I'm being honest, like, it is the kind of film that I don't have the crutch of glamour, I don't have the crutch of abs, I don't have chaka-chak to break into, I don't have any of that. I'm not using my bubbly personality, I'm not using my loud voice, I'm not using a rhyming session. There are no knock-knocks happening. The only knock-knock that you're hoping doesn't happen is from the British, because then you're hung. So it's a very, very different kind of film. And I think portraying a film like this, somewhere there was an element of bravery, strength, perseverance and confidence that Usha had to exude, that I just found that Sara also has. And that was really amazing for me.
How lovely. Sara, do you think that in a way, of course, as an actress, you've grown with every film, but there's been like a phase post Atrangire where there's been a huge change in the way people perceive you, and of course there was this lockdown phase. Post that there was Gaslight, but with Zara Hatke, the box office also was a different sort of gratification, because that was needed for you post the feedback and the good words that you got for Atrangi, for your performance. But do you think that also helped, and how do you look that in retrospect, the last few years?
See, I'll tell you something. Everything has its own purpose, everything has its own reason.
Yeah.
And as a history student, it's very difficult for me to do what I'm trying to do, which is not overthink it. It's very, मतलब ये पूरा तिगड़म मैं अपने दिमाग में कर चुकी हूँ कि अतरंगी के बाद प्यार मिला, लेकिन ज़रा हटके के बाद नंबर्स मिले, अब मर्डर मुबारक में मैं हॉट लगूंगी, इस फिल्म में मैं कुछ अलग दिखाऊंगी, बात वो है नहीं.
But I have to, since you mentioned, I have to say that you have got 2 releases back to back, Murder Mubarak and this. Such different looks, like it's like chalk and cheese, and you're the same person. And right now you're looking like some Yash Raj heroine in this sari.
Thank you.
So I'm just saying, look at the variety.
But that is what it is. That's what I'm about to tell you, that as an actor now, the medium that it comes on, the way that it's received, why people like you, all that is secondary. You have to be thankful that you're getting to tell stories that you didn't think would be told. We didn't know a story about Usha Mehta, who has played such a pivotal role in the Quit India movement in 1942. I am privileged and honored already to show you a trailer that
Yeah.
depicts that. My job is actually done.
Yeah.
Now this is just celebrating the pride that I'm feeling for myself. That's actually why I'm here. Truly. Because मुझे लगा नहीं था कि मुझे ऐसा मौका मिलेगा और मिल गया. तो अब तो as far as victory is concerned, I'm there.
Yeah.
Now I just hope that people watch it, love it, and that's it. And if I have to get love from it, that's my kismet, my karma. But
Yeah.
my duty is done.
Yeah, yeah. And Sara, it intrigues me to know, and I really love that about you, that you have a very wider perspective to life in terms of you're very ambitious and this is what you do, but you make sure that there are other aspects to your life
have to
which
be.
keep you grounded.
They have to be.
Is that a conscious choice, and does that perhaps help you more to gather those experiences further as an actor?
100%. I think that, you know, every time I take a break of any sort, and when I say of any sort, anybody that follows me on Instagram knows it means a trek in the mountains. But every time I do that, I come back with just a lot more perspective. I come back with gratitude. Like, it gets easy to take for granted that you're getting ready in the room and there are 10 people doing your hair and makeup and 30 people right now as I'm talking to you looking at me, making sure I'm looking fine. Like, I'm more grateful for this when I'm in the mountains because I don't have this there. And I'm grateful for having the mountains here right now because it changes the way that I'm talking to you. I was recently shooting for Anurag Basu in Kasauli, and our entire team was staying in some like fancy hotel in Chandigarh, and I decided to stay in this campsite almost in Kasauli. And on my one day off when I should have rested, I went for a 14-kilometer trek. Anyway, long story short, I bumped into this lady, and I even put a story about this, about just how simple our interaction was. She gave me chai, she gave me hand-plucked oranges and this thing called khatte, which is very khatte. And I ate them. And we just sat and spoke about like how different our lives are. She didn't know what I do. She spoke to me about like her husband, how she doesn't live with him anymore, how he lives somewhere else, and how Chandigarh is so far away. And it just brought into perspective how different people's lives are. And it made me feel grateful for what I have today. And I think the time I spent with her made her feel grateful in some way. So I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I'm just trying to tell you that this is my life and I'm very happy and grateful for it, but there are other aspects to it that I would not and cannot give up.
But do those aspects and perhaps the influence of strong women in your life and otherwise the way you've been brought up make you so strong, and of course the fact that you have your own voice and you know you are very articulate in terms of the way you put things, and you have your unique voice. But does that have to do with, you know, the way you've been?
I think so. I think living with a single mother has a huge role to play with it. I think that at a very early age I realized कि कोई आपके लिए कुछ करने नहीं वाला. मतलब करेंगे, people will help you. It's not like I don't get help, I do. But ultimately you are the mover. You are the initiator, let's put it that way. But that initiation has to come from you, and then if you're lucky and if the stars align and if God wills, then the rest will happen. Yeah. But the initiation is you. You can't just be waiting around for it to happen. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. And lastly, you know, after Watan, there's first there's Murder Mubarak, then there's this. But tell me about the lineup. There's lots more interesting stuff coming in, and one thing is for sure that you've not stereotyped into any genre in the last 5 years.
But I've always said that,
yeah.
And I've always meant that, and I'm finally getting the opportunity to back that. I've always wanted to say like मुझे ये भी करना है, मुझे वो भी करना है. I really am watching the songs of both these films that are not out as yet.
Yeah.
One is releasing tomorrow, one is releasing day after, and it takes me back to the time when Aankh Mare and Kedarnath released 2 days apart.
Yeah.
6th December and 7th December 2018, and I got a chance to show what I'm proud of, which was range, and I'm trying to do the same. Yeah. I just want to be able to be like, oh my god, she can do everything. Oh wow, she's looking really sexy. Oh, but she's wearing a white khadi. What's going on? I want that.
Yeah. So is there anything that is on your wish list? And tell me about the upcoming lineup.
Honestly, I like this. I've always had a wish list, and I can say that I want to work with Karan Johar, and I want to work with Zoya, and I want to work with Sanjay Leela Bhansali. I want to work with Meghna Gulzar. All of this is true. But what I'm actually beginning to realize is God has a much better plan for me than I have for myself. So whatever has to be will be, and it'll be great.
So well said. Sara, thank you so much, and all the
Thank
very
you.
best. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.